things were slow for a month or two or three until all of a sudden momentum started happening for them, and then they were able to take the earnings from their first deal, reinvest a percentage of that to get to that next level. Maybe it's building more ads, maybe it's hiring an ISA, whatever it is for you. But my recommendation is
everybody. Go ahead and unmute yourself. This is kind of like the StreetText Mastermind where we just share and talk together. I don't know what you guys' experience are with the top of funnel, Facebook lead generation. Hey, Janky.
Hi, I'm here.
You're here. Yeah, this is different. It's not like the panelist,
Okay.
right? With the masterminds, just remember if you join these masterminds, they're all, they're just everybody together at once.
Got it. Okay. So we're not hosting, or are we hosting?
We are, but we're kind of we're just helping, put the direction of where we're going in this meeting together.
Got it. Okay, cool. So what are we talking about today? I think all about StreetText, obviously. So let's get started with that. And Marcus, tell us a little bit more about Facebook ads and StreetText, please.
Yes. Well, everybody's slowly coming in here, so we'll just start very just simple, top of funnel concept, the understanding of Facebook, Instagram, really any social lead generation tool, so that you can start with shifting mindset. And Logan, I'm sure, will add to this because he's got a lot of awesome observations over his time, really scrutinizing ad performance on Facebook. But I want everybody to kind of get clear, and I was showing at a presentation this morning, I want everybody just to simply open their Facebook icon on their phones. And I want you to do that because I want you to get used to this idea of when people log into Facebook, they're not intentionally looking for your services or anything to do with buying or selling real estate, right? So figure that out, as opposed to, let's say I'm on Google and I'm searching, as opposed to I'm looking at homes on Zillow or any of those search for homes. Facebook, Instagram, social media, think of it in terms of interruption-based marketing. Think of it as digital door knocking, right? So first start there, because if you really get clear with that idea, what you put in front of them is all about interrupting that feed, that scroll, that purpose of scrolling for entertainment, right? Everybody done that? Kind of figure that out? You get it, right? So when you start there, you understand what you put in front of somebody has everything to do with interrupting that feed and causing them to click. So the model, because I hear a lot of people, especially in this new climate that we're in, are like, video everything, video everything, video everything. But the thing is, video is awesome. It's great for retargeting. It's great for rebranding, or just branding in general. But remember, first you got to get your foot in the door. And the foot in the door is simply a byproduct of an effective ad image and copy. And what StreetText has done is kind of made it a Netflix experience. They're all ranked. Without having to think about it, if you use this funnel, this ad copy, and this picture, well, aggregated data across the meta universe will pull it in together, and it'll say, well, 5,000 people here have tested this ad and it's showing a $3 return per phone number for average. So you're kind of like, well, that's cool. I'm going to use this one because I know it's an average $3 phone number, and that's what I'm looking for today. And so Jakey is the perfect one to talk about because I just looked in her account and she's over 5,000 generated leads specifically using this principle. So Janky, 5,000 plus StreetText leads.
Mm-hmm. And
what a lot of people don't realize is that you have been, contrary to everybody usually comes into StreetText and is like, sellers. No, Janky has kind of flipped that upside down. Yes, she works really closely with sellers as well, but as a byproduct of the buyer lead ad that we run. And it's actually one of our top 3 ranked funnels at the moment right now. So tell us a little bit about like that concept and how you're able to take someone who maybe is looking for a list of homes in Fremont today.
Mm-hmm. So basically, Marcus, what we did is very, very early on, I realized that in StreetText, the seller leads are there, but there were so many people that were after their seller leads. Now, let's be real, when we go on a listing appointment, how many other realtors are we competing against sometimes, right? So that becomes a challenge for us, and not a challenge, but I think it's more of like, am I wasting my time, or do I need to be in this competition? That's my thought process behind it. And so what I did really quickly is I realized I need to go after the low-hanging fruits, which were buyer ads. And so I grabbed onto those buyer ads, and those buyer ads did fantastic for me. I probably closed year to date, I would say, from the time I started up to today. And don't get shocked about this, Marcus, because it's not 67 anymore. It's more, I believe, 78 or 79. That was my last count as of last week on my team meeting. So, I ran after the buyer ads, and 42.2% of the buyer ads had a home to sell. And when I went to the buyers, I basically said, listen, I'm here to help you. Did a buyer consult, yada, yada, yada. And then realized they had a home to sell, but I didn't go after that home to sell, right? I basically just went after doing my value add and helping them with the buy side of it. And at that point, I had no competition. It was only me, because I already built up that relationship with them, right? People want to work with people who they love and trust. Or who they trust, right? Mainly in our business. That's how I built it, Marcus.
And it's so refreshing to hear. And this is kind of, one of the main topics that we really wanted to uncover today and really dive into was, how do we get more sellers when there's no sellers out there, when sellers aren't wanting to sell their home? How do we get more listings? And I think that, it's almost counterintuitive to a degree to say, hey, well, let's go after buyers now. But there's that other avenue, exactly like you're just mentioning, Janky, that I think is so incredibly important to understand. And this is something that we started noticing, I'd say, along with you, a while back, where a lot of these buyers were also becoming sellers. So one of my thoughts, and this is something I'm really hoping to hear from as many people on here, what your success has been. That's, the big reason we're all here. But one thing that I decided to do, or we decided to do here at StreetText, was really dive into how do we find more sellers through what things like what Janky are doing? How do we find more sellers through that avenue, right? So we came up with the upgrade downsize idea, which is, speaking to current homeowners who are looking to buy, because what's that first question or that first kind of objection that we're met with oftentimes is, yeah, I do want to sell my home. Yeah, I do want to cash in, but I also have to buy in this increased market as well. I don't want to be homeless. Well, how do we combat that, right? So for me, again, it's finding those buyers who are looking to sell, right? Or vice versa. Those sellers who who are wanting to know what's out there. Janky, go ahead. You had something you want to add?
Yeah, Logan, not all the time are they looking to sell, but that's fine, right? They want to invest, and then you have to go and approach them in that angle, right? So not everybody wants to sell, but at least you built up that reputation with them, that relationship with them, that later on down the line, when they are ready to sell, they'll say, well, we want to work with Janky because I've had a great experience with her. So again, I always say this to my team as well, we're in the relationship business. Leads are leads, but if you treat them like a relationship, trying to build that relationship, I think that's where my win was. If I just dial and say, hey, are you looking to buy or sell? They're going to hang up on me, right? So you have to have a particular opening script for them to actually have a conversation with you.
I also think that, again, for me, and doubling down kind of what you said there is important as well. We might have our end goals, but our end goals need to line up with theirs. And if my end goal is to list their home and their initial starting point isn't listing their home, it's finding what's out there. Right. If I migrate too quickly to, yeah, but we got to sell your home, it's like going to a dealership and saying, I'm looking to buy a car. And they're like, you don't need a car, you need a truck. You need a truck, right. You need a truck, you need a truck. Well, maybe they're right. Maybe I do need a truck. Right. But I'm asking for.
But let me figure that out. Let me figure that out. Right.
And that's 100% the idea is let's figure out what I came for now. I might need to buy a truck before I can buy a car. Right. I might need to sell before I buy my home, whatever it might be. That might be the case, but I want to get there on my own. And you're here to guide me. And we always say it, right? We're not the hero. And it's so hard for us not to feel like the hero, but we are absolutely the guide on this journey. Right? So be there alongside them, help them to discover what they're looking to discover. We're just here to help make those decisions easier. So again, I really think double down on the buy side. You can ask them, do you currently rent or do you own? Right? I own a home. Hey, great. Well, while many of my clients absolutely can support 2 mortgages, it's not necessarily in everybody's best interest. So here's where I think we start. Why don't I come over this Thursday around 4, do a quick property valuation? At least that way we know all the numbers, we know exactly what you need to know, and then you can make your decision from there as to what's next, best to do, whether we put your home on the market, maybe we start looking for homes, whatever, right? But I think it's really important, again, to get there. And I think that's something that a lot of agents we're finding are missing. It's that ability to see beyond that initial conversation. Right. John, you had something you wanted to add?
Yeah. So if you're really focused on getting off-market listings, it's exactly what Jenke Logan Marcus is talking about here, which is right now it makes sense to start with the buyers, because the number one apprehension of sellers today is they're afraid to go and list their home and put it on the market and then not be able to find a home to move into. So the key there is that there's a lot of off-market listings, a lot of people raising their hand that they're looking to buy or sell. And there's a lot of people who have equity in their home that they would like to maximize or take advantage of at this time in the market. The key though, is that they're nervous. And so when you start with a campaign, like a top of funnel ad, like what Marcus suggested, which is a list of homes for sale or homes under a certain price point, could be the upside of downsizing your home, that kind of campaign. What you're doing is you're attracting people in that headspace where they're thinking, I have a home that I want to sell. I just have no idea what my next step is. So when they see that ad that's here's a property of list that or listings that you might be interested in, they click on it, they start investigating, you're capturing them right at that point of decision making. And there's another key point here, which I think is really key to talk about for a second as well, which is Wayne Gretzky, like the famous hockey player, Wayne Gretzky, he has this quote, which is awesome, which is, I skate to where the puck is going, not where it has been. We play more, we grow a lot faster when we play on the offense than we do on the defense. So when we start thinking about where the market is going and we start to realize that there's a lot of sellers, but they're starting their journey as buyers, the faster we move to really capitalize on that, the faster we get to take advantage of that. And then also when we realize, and this is really key, and this is why I love this community, I love the collaboration aspect, is that there really is more than enough for everyone. There really is. And so when you get into like an abundance mentality, what happens is you start to get super creative. You start to do things on an offensive strategy. You start to play where the puck is going naturally, because you realize that the time and effort there, that's where you're going to make your growth impact. When people start to play defensively, they stop growing. They start to fortify. They start to like reel things in. They pull themselves back, but they're actually pulling their growth engine back. But if they play offensively, if they're thinking about, okay, they're like, let's collaborate, let's work together, what happens is they actually end up moving a lot faster. And that's exactly like, I think Jenke is really such an amazing example of just that. Like in her marketplace, like Jenke, I don't know how many listings you did or how many deals you did last year, but I think you just kicked butt in a very competitive market because you were playing to win. Like you were playing collaboratively, you were sharing the entire time. You've been giving back so much to the community, and yet you just keep growing as a result, because your mind space, your mindset is give first, serve first, collaborate first, serve the person in the market first, and then the fruit will come. And that's exactly what we see is really working right now. So that's key strategy, which is you have the three that are killing it, which is the property list, the homes under a certain price range, and then the upside of downside, and then going in for the serve first mentality. But it starts by knowing that there really is more than enough for everyone.
You know, another thing, Jonathan, what I want to add to that is that another ad that has been really good for me was the 1 bedroom, 1 bath. So I say, go after the niche demand that is in your marketplace. And Okay, so I'm going to make a really quick announcement to let you guys know that I don't get paid by StreetText. I am not their employer. I'm not employee or, any part of that on their leadership team, nothing. I'm simply an agent that is here in Fremont. And I, was one of those that was struggling with leads, right? And I came into StreetText in 2021, right, Marcus? Yeah, 2021, March 2021. And I got a lot of leads, but I didn't see, results immediately. I saw results after 3 months. And when I saw all these leads coming in, my first thing was, hey, I need to get an ISA to join my team or get someone to help me convert. And that's when we came up with the higher accountability, just a system. We had to build a system out immediately. So for those of you that don't know me, I am one of those realtors that was one single agent to now a team of 15 VAs, virtual assistants, and growing. And because of that, we started really focusing on our ISAs, training them, and we started our academy from that. And now we're starting an ISA company from that. So a lot of that has built from just my experience as a realtor. And I started seeing where the deficiency is in our marketplace. And I started really focusing on how can we help these realtors that are struggling with online leads, really work out. And how can I share my systems throughout this journey of mine? So that being said, I think, John, I did about 50 million plus in sales volume this past year. Just received the Platinum Award from our association here. So I think it was 50 million plus. I don't remember the number, but I know it was over 50. So again, it's a numbers game at the end of the day. As realtors, we got to really focus in on our numbers, right? It's a numbers game when it comes to online lead generation, in my opinion. And then how do you leverage it by getting someone to dial for you so you can do what you're best at and go out there and mingle and network and, do the fun things. That's what we love, right? As realtors, to build those relationships out there.
I love it.
That's more important.
Jakey, well, I think it's got to be a little intimidating for some people that look at your success and think about, how did you get there? You have 15 VAs, social media coordinators, director of operations, ISAs, VAs, the whole gamut. But what about for the agent that's just getting started, maybe is considering their first hire? Who should that first hire be? Should it be transaction coordinator or all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
How would you suggest going about it? Because go back to the beginning.
Right.
And where you were at when you were generating your first leads and you learned to work all these leads and having to make the calls and do everything manually, and then what you've learned along the way, how would you help guide that person who's kind of just like, where do I even begin, to getting to where you're at now?
Honestly, Marcus, I am really the one that would say this to you. And you know me for a long time. And for me, relationships are more important than anything. And you know me on that. And going back to where I was in 2021, where I was like, okay, I'm getting no business. I've got bills to pay. And, rewind probably 10 years before that, it was tough. And it's not about me. It's about StreetText right now. So I'm going to really focus on StreetText. The way I built it up, Marcus, was, I started getting these leads. I did a 7-day trial, and then Marcus was my coach at that time. Fun times, right? And Marcus was on me like, come on, let's go. You got to come to these masterminds. This is important. I'm like, no, I'm better than them. I don't want to be there. That's not my cup of tea. And slowly I realized that, wait a minute, there's a lot of little nuggets that are being talked about in this mastermind. So I need to show up. And I showed up maybe to a couple, but after that, I got really, really busy. And the way I did it was, my first hire was a transaction coordinator, right? Someone who you can work with. You could do about 5 to 7 deals a month and, leverage it by a transaction coordinator. My immediate hire after StreetText should be, the question is like, right after you got onto StreetText and you got abundance of leads, what happened then? And when I got that influx of leads, I didn't know what to do. I started building out my systems, but then who's calling these leads? What am I doing? Speed to lead matters. What am I doing? So I hired my first ISA. Now, remember, who you hire your ISA from is going to be important, because they say they're trained, but are they really trained is a question you need to ask yourself. when a realtor is out there working in the field, that is, the company owner that is out there working in the field, knows the scripts, knows the dialogues, and really knows what they're talking about in conversions and setting phone appointments, is the company you should go for. That's my 2 cents, Marcus.
I love that. So that's really good. So you got leads, you hire a transaction coordinator, you build your systems, you hire your first ISA, but then the key there is don't just start with a trained ISA. You want to make sure that you are training the ISA in a way that's going to get you the outcomes that you're looking for. And I also want to say something else, which is like you said that, and I think it's really good. This group, this mastermind is not about StreetText. Like, the reason we put this on is because the power of bringing like minds together, it's for the community. It's about you. It's about the community. Like, the value that comes, like even what you're just learning from Janky, but everyone here, this is a mastermind, so you can all share. It's we're all better off for it. We're all better when we just share and contribute. And so that's really the heart behind it. And it's really our heart behind it. And so on that note, yeah, so if you have questions for Janky, but for any of this process, like, this is the time to ask. So you can raise your hand, or you can put a comment in the chat box too, or you can just share like what's working for you right now in getting off-market listings, and how are you doing that?
Ooh, I like, one of the things that you can do right off the bat is I can take them to one of your ads, Janky, and I could pretend that I'm a lead, and I'm like, ooh, I want to know what this list is, and then we'll just have a quick role play session on how you take that into an appointment.
Absolutely, let's go for it.
You guys up for that?
While you're getting that set up, Marcus, I just wanted to kind of unpack real quickly, because there was so much gold out of kind of what's been dropped so far, and just a reminder that, how many clients come to us and say, I want to know what Janky's doing. I want her success. Donna Swansea is a name you guys have all heard, I'm sure, before. She's closed hundreds and hundreds of deals. I want Donna. What is she doing? I want that. Well, what they've all done is they've grown. And the last thing I recommend you doing is coming in and just necessarily starting on rung 8 of the ladder. It's not necessarily it's going to work for everybody. So what I always recommend you do is do the exact same things that they did. You come in, Donna and Janky both, they struggled through their first, I wouldn't say struggle isn't the right word, but things were slow for a month or 2 or 3, until all of a sudden momentum started happening for them. And then they were able to take, the earnings from their first deal, reinvest a percentage of that to get to that next level. Maybe it's building more ads, maybe it's hiring an ISA, whatever it is for you. But my recommendation is early on, as your boots are on the ground, as you're doing everything, you're a one man or one woman show, keep a little bit of a journal. For me, I've always got mine right here, and it's your pain points. So, right now, what's your biggest pain point? Well, I'm not getting enough leads. I'm paying too much for my leads. Well, let's solve that problem. Great. Now that problem's solved. Now I've got too many leads to handle in a day. Great problem to have. Now you've got another, pain point to solve. So what's going to be the solution? Do you take time out of your personal life and your other stuff to devote to this, or do you consider bringing a new teammate onto your team, right? So what I like to do is, again, identify your pain points as you're feeling them, and then give them like you're in the doctor. Push on that. Is that a 1 to a 10, right? This is an 8. That's something that needs to get solved pretty darn quickly. So after, a month or a quarter or whatever your timeline is, really look through all those pain points and then prioritize them, and then look and say, for me specifically, I know Janky did this, I know Donna did this, I know people are suggesting this, but for me, these are the areas I'm feeling the most pain. How can I solve as many of these issues with as lowest of an expense as humanly possible? Maybe it's ISA, maybe it's VA, maybe there's so many different options, but solve your pain points as they come. And then when more resources come available, i.e. you've made more sales from the system, reinvest, scale and grow over time. It's not a one-day solution. I just want to kind of add that. So Marcus, hopefully you've had a chance to get all that set up now, and I'd love to see the role play between you two. I'll back out now and let you guys do your thing.
Logan, one thing I want to add to that is that keep in mind, when you have a system, and if that system is working for you, good and well, but add on to your systems. That's what I believe in. My systems did not work for me, and so I had to reinvent the entire wheel. And all my systems I shared in my academy. But the first thing is, when you have an ISA, what do you do? How do you train them? And all of us don't have that patience to train someone in some, and some of us do. So what we did is we created the training academy just for the ISAs and of course other things. But more than anything, Logan, is really helping the ISA come up with dialogues and scripts and set that phone appointment. There's three things that I really focus on, and I have it on my laptop every single day. When I'm talking to a phone, when I'm trying to convert a lead, there are three things I always talk about. And I'll share with you guys when we do this role play, you'll hear it. But I think it's so important because it's not about you as a realtor. It's more about the person that's talking to you. I don't want to call them a lead, but it's the relationship you're trying to connect with that person. And there's something that you need to remember is that it's not about us as a realtor. It's not about our ego. It's not about us. It's about them, right? If we just put ourselves in their situation of what they're looking for, why they don't want to sell or why they don't want to buy right now, we will understand it better from their perspective. And it's always about them in our business is how I feel.
Awesome. Now, what I will tell you is that Janki Patel is really known for the buyer side, and I know it's because her power, her I would say superhero strength is in phone numbers, and there's a speed to lead component inside of that, but it's actually the quality of conversations she's able to create from that moment. So I do believe there is something that's so important that as soon as that phone number comes in, you pick up the phone. And there's great systems out there. I heard of one the other day called Callingly that literally connects you to that lead within 20 seconds of that person submitting their phone number. So that there's systems out there. Now the key is what are you going to say, right? Mm-hmm. And how are you going to create a conversation that person doesn't simply just hang up the phone on you or tell you to explicit off, right?
So but you might receive that, Marcus. Yeah. There are leads that do that. There are hundreds of leads you'll get a hang up on, they'll hang up on you, or that'll go straight to voicemail, and it's okay, right? That's another thing I want to talk about is that, when you do have those rejections, us as realtors, especially the drivers here, will just like, all right, whatever, they got offended, and it's like, all right, on to the next. Some people, depending on their disc profile, they're like, okay, well, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm tired of this.
That's profile. What's
exactly that? So, and that's another thing we teach in our ISA program is, get to know your client within the first 5 seconds. You should know who you're talking to, or 10 seconds. What is their, disc profile? What is their personality like? Who are you talking to? You might not be able to find out everything in one go, but at least get to know the lead or the person on the other side of the phone. I think that's so important. And like I said, your ISA or your person that's making those phone calls, guess what? They also get discouraged. They also get, unmotivated. That's another thing. You've got to keep them going. What do you do? How do you do it? And what do you say to them to continue the conversation in a productive, fruitful, positive manner? That's the key thing here.
I love it.
Yeah, and I also, this is the one time where I'll say, don't let no convince you to stop. That there's a certain point in time where that's actually the appropriate, recommendation. And the biggest reason I say that is because so many agents will allow a few bad apples to kind of send them picking from a different tree, right? And again, how I mean that is, for every time you generate, let's say 100 leads, you have an ad that's generating cost-effective leads, and we're okay statistically speaking, that's fine. The ones who you've reached out to and who've connected with somehow, beat it, I didn't click on your ad, I don't even own a home, and then you go, okay, well, this whole bunch of apples is spoiled. And that's not always the case. In fact, that's very rarely the case. And my expectation is, I would say there's roughly about a 10% on average. There's roughly 10% of all these generated leads who are going to be ready to talk to you, who are going to be ready to make a move, who are going to be ready to buy, sell, whatever it is. That leaves over 90% of these leads who are not ready to even have a conversation with us. And when we reach out and get those 90%, right, we're going to get those negative conversations started. So I really like to focus on stay consistent, do your thing. Janki, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Logan, but here's the thing. When you do have those people that say, I didn't look at the ad, I did. Oh, okay, not a problem. By the way, who do you know that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Unless they hang up on you, that's fine. But if they have an issue with you calling them and they said they didn't register or they didn't look at your website, why don't you ask them, hey, thank you for letting me know that. I think it might be a glitch in the system. By the way, what do you know that might be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Why not ask them who they know, right? Might help,
Yeah.
might not. Who, we don't know that, but at least you ask the question.
True.
That's my opinion.
Okay, I'm going to share a couple different ad variations that you have, Jakey, and then we'll talk our way through them. I thought it's important to highlight that like you're going to have one ad that's focused on sellers, and the way you converse with them is going to be different than a buyer lead ad. And I'm going to say that because whether it's if someone were to buy your home, would you sell it, or what's your home really worth, enter your address, everything is kind of driving them to knowing the value of their home. So they click on that particular ad, and then they're driven into a dynamic capture starting with the address. And this is where, some of you might be like, well, what do I do with an address only? Or you've got the email next, and that in itself drives an automatic email campaign their way. And then condition details, whether they're just curious. Most people, of course, will say that as a defense mechanism. And then this would drive the phone number experience. So that's dynamic. That's separate. What Janky is really her bread and butter is this style of ad. And this one right here is see all available single family homes in Fremont. I mean, and she's told you she's got the 1 bedroom, 1 bath list and all that stuff. But the idea is instead this person will click on it, and automatically the Facebook lead form is capturing my email, my full name, and my phone number. So when I click next and I submit, the key is now I'm being driven to a redirect link, and I can view those family homes right there. But most importantly, at this very moment, what's happening is, and she could drive an IDX or a matrix links if she wanted to and go right to that single family home list. But at that moment, what she probably realistically is having done is her ISA, right? Am I correct, Jakey? Is simply
Yes. The minute the minute we get the phone number, we do speed to lead. And I think it's so important to dial the lead and say, hey, thank you for visiting our website, yada, 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 right? Is there anything in particular that we might help you with? We're not going to say, hey, are you looking to buy? Again, it matters how you say it, right?
Awesome. Okay, so let's take it from there. We'll assume that I just clicked on your ad. Mm-hmm. Here I am, Marcus Willard, there's my email, that's my phone number. And I'm currently, if I were the buyer, I'd be looking at this website right now, and I'd be looking at, okay, now I got to search something again. Forget about it, right? I thought I was going to get the single family home list directly to me, mm-hmm. but there's nothing of that. So I'm like, probably in my mind, I'm already a little bit like, what's going on? And then boom, boom, ring, 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 ring.
Hi, is this Marcus?
Yeah, this is Marcus.
Hey, Marcus. Good morning. How are you today?
Hey, who's this?
This is Janki from the Janki Patel team. I just want to let you know that we are on a recorded line. How are you today?
Oh, good. Thanks. Why are you calling me?
Yeah, that's a great question. I was just about to say, hey, you just visited our website, and I wanted to find out from you.
Really wait. No, I wasn't on your website. I was just clicking on a Facebook ad. It was an ad. I thought I was going to get a free list. It took me to another website. It's really confusing and kind of annoying, to be honest.
No problem. Hey, I apologize. I totally apologize. So, okay, so you're not looking for you're not in the market, or you're not even looking at homes to buy. You are not browsing. Did I hear that correctly?
Oh, no, actually, yes. I wanted to see all available homes right now in Fremont.
Okay, I think we might have a system glitch. So let me go ahead and get that over to you. Is your email marcus@StreetText.com?
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. Here's what I'm going to do for you, Marcus. I'm going to go ahead and send you a list of homes. And again, I apologize for not getting you that list of homes immediately as you clicked on our website. But let me ask you one other question. Who do you not know that might be looking to sell right now?
Ooh, I don't know. I think everybody's kind of cautious at the moment because, why sell if we have nothing to buy? It's just it's hard in between market right now. So I think it's just we have, and then including myself, I have a home, but I'm not going to sell that home unless I know I have something to buy that's better than that.
Absolutely. I totally understand that. Hey, you know what? I will go ahead and send you that list, but I do want to say that, I'd love for you to connect with Janki because she can share with you market knowledge, educate you, and guide you on a strategy that might help you understand the market better and help you save some money by connecting you to her preferred lenders. So are you open to having that conversation?
Yeah, in the meantime though, like I'm looking for something very specific. It's got to be under $1.5 million. I want it close to this Fremont school district because I want my kids playing in the high school football team there.
Wonderful.
So if you could find me some homes in this particular neighborhood under 1.5 and at least has 3 bedrooms, that would be a starting list that you could send my way.
Okay, not a problem. I can certainly do that for you immediately. I highly recommend you to talk to Janki about some off-market listings she might have also. Again, it's all about you and it's all about helping you save some money. And she can certainly educate you, guide you, and share market knowledge with you. How does that sound?
That sounds cool. I'll do that.
Wonderful. Okay, so do you have any available? Well, let me ask you this. What is your schedule like tomorrow at 5 p.m.? Which day works better, tomorrow at 5 p.m. or tomorrow at 2 p.m.?
Ooh, neither. I have 4 kids under the age of 8. I'm hoping
Lovely.
maybe you can fit us in that 12 to 1 is usually when I put the first one down.
You
Um,
know, absolutely. I totally see that. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I do see that she does have another appointment 12 to 1. Let me see if I can move that around. I'll put that conversation, on the back burner with Janki. In the meantime, let me put you in with her associate as well. Say, what about 12:30? Would 12:30 work for you?
yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, awesome. And I will connect Janki with you. I'll give you a warm transfer call, or I'll connect you with Janki at 12:30, where she can help you and educate you and guide you and share market knowledge with you. Now, you see how rusty I was, a little bit rusty right there, Marcus, only because I don't do this every day. It's my ISAs that do that. Although I train them and I teach them in the academy, I still get rusty because, again, it's like on the spur of the moment, you got to convert, right?
Guess what, though? Donna just said this is one of the best role plays she's ever seen. So as rusty as you are,
There you are.
maybe she needs to
Thank
see
you,
some more
Donna.
role play.
Thank you, Donna. But I felt that I was rusty because, I'm looking at educate, guide, and share market knowledge. See, every time I feel that, oh my God, what do I say next? I look at this right here on my laptop, educate, guide, share market knowledge. That is what I do. That is what I want to deliver to the client. And every time I look at that paper, I go back into my script role play, practice what I said then, and I kind of spew it out to my, my client or the person on the other side of the phone. And 9 out of 10 times I'll say, yes, let's do it. In this case, when it comes to the realtor, so the ISA has set the phone appointment for me, but now when it comes to me as a realtor, I need to convert them and set a Zoom consult with them. So that's what
I love it. And I think the key for everyone to hear there is that naturally, from the moment the conversation starts, you're an incredible objection handler. Because that's going to be the key. The objection is going to start from the very beginning. No, just curious. That wasn't me. I didn't, this is annoying, whatever that is. And learning to overcome that quick objection and change the direction of that conversation is going to be key for people to really learn and grasp. Right, Janky?
I totally agree with that. Sorry, Marcus. I totally agree with that because I think it's going to be important for you to know how to role play. So he told me first, he said, no, I don't want to do it. It was annoying. He was angry. A little upset. I had to calm him down. I had to make up an excuse on the fly, right? Hey, so sorry. There was a glitch in my system. I apologize for that. I'll get that right over to you. However, yada, 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 right? So I had to calm him down and I had to kind of talk to him and get to his tonality. He was speaking so fast, I needed to catch up on that. I can't do it. I gotta drink water. Wait.
Well, hey, you matched your DI, right? We're both DIs, so I'm gonna drive it unless you drive me.
Exactly. So we got a mirror and match, and that's exactly, and have fun with it. Now I have fun with it. Before it was jittery and nervousness about a year and a half ago. But then when I set my ISAs in motion and I started teaching them the scripts, I got more comfortable with the scripts. And now I am very comfortable with it, except for when I'm right in front of so many people and it's like, oh, okay, role play, let's go. You got to be on your toes, and practice makes perfect, in my opinion.
Well, and so most of these people are going to...
One really quick thing, just because Crystal had mentioned something as well, I dislike being scripted. It makes, spidey senses tingle. And for me, I feel very much the same way. And I think reading scripts is one of the worst things to do. However, learning scripts is important because for me, it's like reading the book and then going to book club, right? Then when you get to book club, you're not going to read the entire book, but you have the ability to say, oh, we're talking about chapter 8 right now. Great. Well, I've read the book and I remember what the description of that chapter is. So I think that again, I start everything that I do with scripts personally. I script everything and I read it and I read it and I read it. I also then like to break my scripts down into parts. So if I've got a, one page, I'll break it down into 5 parts and I'll memorize what that part was. So then all I have to remember was what my first line was, what started that spiel, right? So if somebody says anything that leads me into what I want to say, I have not a script necessarily, but I've got a framework in my mind that I've practiced and I know where it is. And again, I personally don't like doing role play, but I know how valuable it is because oftentimes you'll get challenged a little bit by something that's a little bit silly, because that's kind of what role play ends up being. But you do end up getting approached by those very same questions by real people in time, and not being prepared for them is the worst thing to be, right?
So Logan, that's a great point. And Crystal, that's a great point as well. Here's what I say to that. When you read, and this is, we were just interviewing 30 VAs just yesterday, 30 to 60 VAs because of the launch of our new company. And I only selected 7 of them. Because when I did the role play, some of them were reading and, I taught them, I said, listen, and that's the first thing I told them. So when you read a script, it sounds very scripted. Let's just act like you're talking to another human. Let's just talk. Let's just conversate. Let's have a conversation. And that when I did that, he became one of my top hires. He went right up the ladder because why? I made him feel comfortable to just have a conversation about real estate, right? All I said was that don't read the script, let's talk. And when you talk to someone and make it a humanizing conversation, that you genuinely care, that you want to do this for them, it makes it more fruitful, right? To build that connection, in my opinion. And that's what I've seen with all my leads. That's what I've seen with all the we're working with 17 buyers at the moment. We're working with, don't even know, but when I talk to them, I want to make sure that I'm building that connection. That's all that matters.
Love it. Crystal, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just going to clarify my comment. It's more like when you sound like you're reading off of a piece of paper, it sounds dishonest, it sounds salesy, and I just want to hang up on you. If you have a framework for what you're talking about and you're confident in your knowledge and you're confident with where you're going with everything, there's a difference. It's a very fine line difference, but it's a difference nonetheless that I can usually pick up on people. Like I know I'm being scripted when I'm being scripted, but when it sounds like somebody is reading it, it's like, okay, why do you have to read that? Do you have any conviction in what you're saying that you can talk to me without reading to me? There's that authenticity that you're looking for. And with what you were doing before, that was very authentic because it was like, wait a minute, just give me a second. Because it was just like, okay, I'm not reading this. I want to get back to the point of what I was trying to address. And that to me just spoke louder than being ultra smooth like you are reading off of a piece of paper.
You just have to humanize the conversation, right? Yeah. And you just have to humanize it and make it authentic. That's so true. Humanize it. Simple.
I worked for a very short period of time. This is really early in life. I think I was like 16 or something like that in a call center. I was there for about a month. And my numbers were quite a lot better than a lot of the people who'd been there a while longer. And the reason for it was I wouldn't have lasted. I didn't do what I was told, to be fair. But we were given a flow chart, right? If the client says A, then you say B. If the client says B, then you say C. And I'm sitting here going like, I'm not going to say at 16 years old, I know better than the people who are training me to do this. But at the same time, like, shouldn't I just absorb my material, learn it inside and out, and then have a real conversation with real people? Doesn't that make sense? And I was kept, no, that's not the way we do things. That's not the way we do things. And again, naturally, I lasted about a week or two. But in that week or two, which is supposed to be my training period, I put up much better numbers. But every time my supervisor would come and listen to my phone calls, he's like, you're not following the script, right? But the two, where there was correlation between the two. And again, exactly like you guys are saying, to me is the most important thing is, I personally, if I had ISAs and VAs, I'm not going to give them a script and say, follow this script. I'm going to say, here's the way I want, here's the words I use, here's the verbiage I use. You're an extension of me now. So I would like you to speak to these clients as if you were, it was me sitting in this chair. I mean, put your own personality into it. However, these are the key points I need you to know. When somebody mentions the market, when somebody mentions this is what they mean. This is what I would say back to that kind of, whatever. Here are my common rebuttals. Here's the things that they're going to say, and here's how I would like you to respond, in what direction, not these are the words you need to use. And that's the biggest difference. There's no flow charts to this. People want to talk to real people. And if we treat leads like leads, they leave us, right? So we need to treat these people like real people, regardless of who it is who's having that conversation for you.
It's well said. I mean, you can liken that to an athlete at a high level. What's practice do? You practice, you practice, you practice. So you can get in the game and it becomes a natural reaction, almost instinctual. You don't even think about it anymore. You're just playing the game that you love so much, but the practice is what's got you to be able to play in that position. And I think it's no different than someone you hire, Janky. They need that training. Essentially, the script, the practice, the role play in the beginning is helping build their confidence so that when they learn the material, they're not even thinking about it anymore. They're just having conversations naturally and bringing that into the place where it's going to book the appointment. I think the problem that I found with a lot of ISAs or those trying that in the position, they don't have that training and that practice early on. And so they're bound to fail. Which is why you said find someone who has an experience so that you can train them, they can practice in that position, and they can learn to read people psychology. This is where the disc profiling comes in, and you train all that. That's an important piece of that. So I'm glad you addressed that, because everybody's offering some sort of VA or ISA service these days. But how do you find the right one, and how do you train that person?
Exactly.
You yourself have to be that ISA in the beginning, because if you're going to be doing it, if you want a VA, if you want an ISA, make sure you're great at that position yourself first. Because if you're going to be training that person and you suck at it, maybe you got to start with yourself.
Exactly. And here's another thing I want to add to that, Marcus, is that Emily, who's one of our StreetTexters, she's amazing. And she had challenges with leads, and she's in one of our classes, and she texted me at 7 a.m. today saying, Junkie, I got a 1.5. What do I say next? And right there and there, I texted her the script, and I love to do that because I love to see the success that she's having. But at the same time, she was stuck in, okay, what do I do next? And they don't want to do this. How do I address this? And, although my team is after me not to do this, I still texted her on Messenger, and I said, okay, say this real quickly, and I like to be a part of that journey with the realtors, because it's so fulfilling to see as a coach, as an instructor for my academy, to see the realtors that are in the academy succeed. It's such a fulfilling journey for me. And that's what I love, is that you've got the systems, you've got the tools, Marcus. Now, just hand them over once you hire the ISA. But again, keep in mind the ISAs that you hire, from where you hire, what you hire. It's going to be important for you. Just make a good choice on that.
Yeah, and we are kind of getting up to the top of the hour, and I think so far all the shares have been fantastic. If there's anybody else who has anything that they'd like to share, especially when it comes to something that's maybe a little outside the box, what have you done that maybe was lucky to find something for you, or you knew was going to work and did work, whatever? What are some things that other agents might want to test and try here that are potentially a little outside the box, that have helped you secure specifically some more listings in this market? That would be fantastic if anybody has anything they'd like to share. You want to make me look foolish? Nobody put their hand up?
Looks like James wants to say something.
I might call on James and hear more about his call center experience. We have some stuff to talk about there. It's our collective week in the industry.
What were you selling, coupons or water filters?
I was actually working for it was a company that did American Express, and this was actually something else I wanted to say, which I thought was hilarious. We had obviously the reason people were calling in was it was before the internet was a thing, right? Like nobody had phones and iPhones and stuff, so you couldn't just check your credit card balance on your phone. You would call in the credit card company, and they'd be like, "Oh, your current balance is whatever, and you have this much left. Oh, and by the way, do you want some travel insurance?" That was the shtick, was we had to sell them on something, and we weren't allowed to naturally sell them on something. We had a script to take them from this to that cell, and people know when they're being sold, and that's the sound of the phone hanging up was something I became very familiar with. So yeah, I mean, any experiences in that? How do you get from this to that, or anything that you want to mention, James?
Yeah, it's all about listening to what the people are saying. You know, I go through calls. I was using an ISA company a little while ago, and I listened to some of the calls, and I'm like, wow, they weren't even listening to what the person was saying. They're just going right into the script that I gave them. And even a couple of the agents that I work with, they go right into, like, when do you want us to come over and look at your house? Like, it's like, they don't want you to come over at all. They don't even want to pick up the phone. You have to listen to the clues in the in the conversation. Chris Voss says it best. You have to listen for the black swan, because there's one thing that they're going to say that you're going to just keep on leading into. That's what's been good for me.
So on that note, I got to get going. I have a class to teach at noon. Thank you, Marcus, John, and Logan. You guys are amazing. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks, Frankie.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody.
It was great.